Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. It's a semi-final preview for the US Open 2022. I tell you what, this US Open has been very intriguing. We're going to break down Carlos Alcaraz versus France's Tiafoe. What do you expect in this semi-final before the tournament? Well, we might have expected Alcaraz to be in the semi-finals. I know some of you had Sinner beating him. It was very, very close, of course. A fantastic match. But Tiafoe, I mean, if anyone had Tiafoe in their bracket or predictions, then you know what? Well done. Genuinely well done, because that is an incredible pick and insight. I had absolutely zero confidence he was going to make the semi-finals, and he has proved a lot of people wrong, and he has had an incredible run as well, the players he's beaten. So we're going to break down both players' route to the semi-finals, so who they've beaten and how they've looked, and we're also going to talk head in the past, and then finally finish off with a tactical breakdown, so technically looking at it from a more strategic point of view, which is going to be interesting to talk about, because Tiafoe is not an unknown quantity, of course, but he's someone that I haven't watched as much as someone like an Alcaraz or a Sinner, because he just hasn't really gone as deep in tournaments generally. But he has gone deep this tournament. I have watched quite a few of his matches this tournament. So we'll be looking at it and seeing how potentially the match might unravel. So first of all, let's go into their route to the semi-finals so far. So for Alcaraz, he beat Baez and Correa, two Argentines, in the first two rounds of the US Open. Straight sets. He managed to beat him in sets. That was good, because I thought Brooksby was pretty dangerous. I know that his style is a little bit underpowered, Alcaraz, but he's someone who is reliable in terms of his ground strokes, to make a huge amount of errors. But Alcaraz is too strong in the end. And the Marin Cilic win, I thought, was very good, because Cilic, a former champion himself, and he was serving big, he was serving well, and I thought, oh, if that happens, Alcaraz might struggle a little bit. And he did struggle, but he still managed to win in 5 in the end. And then the Sinner match, which a lot of people were dubbing the match of the year, was, of course, a thriller. Alcaraz coming from 2-1 down to win in 5 sets in what can only be described as an enthralling matchup. And it was. So he's coming off the back of 2 5-setters, which is interesting. For Tiafoe, he played an American in the first round against Giron, winning in straight sets. Kubler in straights as well, the Australian. Schwartzman, he also beat in straight sets. That was really impressive, I thought, because Schwartzman's pretty dangerous, and I was impressed with how Tiafoe handled that and really dispatched him in straight sets. And then arguably the most impressive victory of them all was Rafael Nadal, winning in 4 sets, beating him in a exciting match, but one that he comprehensively beat Nadal, to be fair, in 4 sets. It wasn't close. It was one where he looked like he was in front the whole time, and Nadal just struggled to deal with Tiafoe and his ability to, one, defensively stick in the rally, but also to dictate from the back of the court with power, baseline strokes, and serving incredibly well, Tiafoe, and also some instinctive returning. So his all-round game looked extremely good against Nadal. And then Rublev beating him in straight sets as well. This was a really good win, I thought, because, look, I mean, 2 tiebreakers, a 6-4. I thought he played really well, Tiafoe, in the last 2 rounds, and I'm interested to see how he gets on against Alcaraz. The head-to-head is actually 2-love to Alcaraz. Sorry, 2-love to Tiafoe even. I mean, one is a exhibition. I don't know if that really counts. That was one in the exhibition in Hurlingham, which, of course, Novak Djokovic and Felix and a couple of others played, because they hadn't had much practice beforehand. And then we have Alcaraz losing to Tiafoe in Barcelona in 2021. So I have to say, this is really, really good from Tiafoe. The fact that he's managed to win twice against Alcaraz. I wonder whether that gives him some sort of edge. I don't know if it does, honestly, because really it's only one match, I guess, on clay. It's a different surface as well. But clay is a surface that Alcaraz is supposed to be most comfortable on, and Tiafoe is supposed to be most comfortable on hard courts. It was over a year ago. Not sure how much we can look into it. Okay, let's then talk about it from a more tactical standpoint. So, first of all, before we do actually, I think we need to address the elephant in the room, which is in terms of hours played and how much time both have had on court. Now, Tiafoe has only lost one set, if I'm not mistaken, after just going through that. But let me just confirm. I don't want to have egg on my face. Yeah, so only the one set against Nadal. Alcaraz, okay, the difference here is he has lost 4 sets, but it's not the fact that he lost 4 sets, which isn't actually a huge amount. It's the fact that he's played back-to-back 5-setters. Now, last year at the US Open, he played back-to-back 5-setters, and then he played Felix in the quarterfinals, and he had to retire. Now, he is 1 year older. And does that mean that he's going to be more conditioned? His body is more used to playing that much tennis? Potentially. But what it also means is that he has history of his body breaking down after very long matches. And that's not criticism. That's just like, it's just a fact that most people's bodies, apart from maybe Djokovic and Nadal in the past, when they've played that much tennis in a short period of time, their bodies are just, they're basically saying, you know what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, we can't continue stretching ourselves and physically pushing ourselves to the limit when we're already completely fatigued. And that's kind of what I felt happened with Alcaraz last year. He's played a lot of tennis since, so I'm wondering whether he will be more conditioned. The question is, will it have any effect on him playing back-to-back 5-setters? Will he look a bit lethargic? There's a couple of scenarios, I guess, that could occur. The first one being that actually he's fine. He comes out, he's had a bit of rest, and he's got in his ice bath, and he comes out to play against Tiafoe and he looks perfectly fine. The second scenario is that actually he starts a bit slow, a bit sluggish, because he's still got a bit of a hangover from the Sinner match. And then actually, as the match progresses, he might lose the first set, but as the match progresses, he kind of gets a feeling to it and starts playing good tennis. Whether he wins or not remains to be seen, but at least he warms into it. And then the third scenario is that he just looks really flat and looks very fatigued, isn't moving as well as he normally does. He's moving that split second slower, which obviously makes a difference. It makes a big, big difference. So there's 3 possible scenarios that could occur because of what's happened in the last 2 matches for Alcaraz. What I would say is that Alcaraz, I mean, he'll be looking to give it his all right. He's not the type of player that will come out and say, "Oh, my arms, my legs, my back, my shoulders are hurting, they're aching." He'll just push himself. So it's just really, how does his body respond? So we'll see. We'll see. I'm not sure how 100% what's going to happen. I would imagine it might be more the second scenario, which is where the first half a set he does look a bit sluggish, and then he feels his way into it. I would be surprised if his body completely breaks down. I'd also be surprised if he comes out and breaks Tiafoe, straight away, runs away the first set, beats him in straight sets. I'd be surprised about that as well. And also bearing in mind that if he does come out fully fit and is playing his best tennis, it doesn't necessarily mean that he'd win anyway, or win in straight sets, because Tiafoe's playing incredible tennis. But we know that Tiafoe is going to come out and he probably will be fresh. Now, he has never gone this deep, though, Tiafoe, at Grand Slam. So that is something to cater in, because physically he looks fine, but there will be a question mark around to the magnitude of the occasion, which you could also say the same, to be fair, for Alcaraz. I mean, both players have never made, well, both players, right, have never made this stage of a Grand Slam. So there's pressure on Alcaraz for the world #1 status. There's pressure on him to deliver. It's a great opportunity for him to win his first Grand Slam. I mean, he needs to beat Tiafoe and then either Khachanov or Ruud. Like, do you know what I mean? He'd be the favorite against Khachanov or Ruud. He is the favorite to win it overall now as well. So what I would say is, for me personally, Tiafoe will take on the occasion and he'll be fine because I think the crowd will be behind him. I think he laps it up. His body will be okay. It will hold up. I know he hasn't gone this deep, but I think he'll be fine as well. The big question is just going to be, how does he perform on the day? For Alcaraz, I think there might be a tinge of pressure that is felt by Alcaraz, especially if like he goes a set down, for example. He might feel it a little bit, knowing that it's a big opportunity. Now, Tiafoe is an incredible player, but he's not a Djokovic or Nadal, right? So Alcaraz is well, I say he's expected to win. I think he is expected to win in a very, very tough match. So we'll see how it pans out. From a so that I've gone through the more physical and mental aspects. Let's go through the tactical aspect. There's a couple of dynamics here that we need to discuss and I guess look into. And the first one is, and we can touch upon this because I think it is arguably the most important dynamic to talk about, which is the serve return dynamic. Now, for Alcaraz, he would better now, potentially a pretty Tiafoe who has been serving bigger and a bit more accurately than Sinner throughout the tournament. Now, for Alcaraz, it would have been a good yardstick to see, okay, well, where's his return game at? I thought he returned pretty well, generally. Tiafoe will hammer the Alcaraz backhand, so that'll hold up. He's to make one lot of returns on the backhand, and if he's able to not just return it, or return it with something on it that gets him to neutral, rather than having to defend the whole time in the return points when it gets into his backhand side. So that'll be interesting to see. Also, Tiafoe has a lot of variation as well on his serve. He can go flat. I mean, I saw him always touch 140 against Nadal, which was incredible. Especially for someone his height. I think he's like 6'1", 6'2", right? So he's not a very, very tall individual. He's tall generally for the general public, but not as a tennis player, right? Yeah, so for Tiafoe, it's essentially going to be not a task, but it's going to be interesting to see how he hits his spots. Is he able to hit a lot of first serves in? If he is, Alcaraz will definitely have his work cut out for him because he's been serving incredibly well. It's almost like he's channeling his inner Nick Kyrgios serve, and I don't think he'd mind me saying that because Nick Kyrgios arguably has one of the best serves in the game. I mean, he's top 5. Tiafoe, though, is probably top 10 from what I've seen. If he serves like how he served this tournament, I always talk about the top 5 servers, and I think it's, let me just quickly remember who they are. Kyrgios, Berrettini, Hurkacz, Opelka, Isner. Those are the top 5 for me. Best servers on tour. Tiafoe, though, has not served far off those guys' abilities. In fact, maybe even at those guys' abilities this tournament. Now, whether he's able to, consistently serve like that throughout the rest of his career, I don't know. But I think for me, Tiafoe, he's been serving clutch in big moments as well. Can Alcaraz frustrate him by getting a lot more balls back into play than he'd expect? And also defensively being extremely solid, which we know he can be. So we'll see whether that comes to fruition. Now, for Alcaraz, he needs to be careful because Tiafoe, especially against weak second serves, he steps in and he crunches them. He does. He's tried to be proactive and aggressive. He tries to step in and take it early. So for Alcaraz, his second serve, again, he wants to be making a lot of first serves in because his second serve, I can't see it being particularly effective. I think Tiafoe will he may not win a huge amount of points on the second serve return, but he'll definitely win a large, well, a portion, his fair share of points, because he may not necessarily hit a return win all the time, but it will be an offensive ground stroke. And if he makes it into play, he'll then be on the front foot. And then it's a question of, okay, can Alcaraz defend? And we know he can defend, but it's more a question of how much can his defense withhold before getting broken, and especially to the backhand side, which Tiafoe will know about. It was a lot more solid against Sinner, but it's still something that he can work on. So Tiafoe will look to also try and access the backhand. Now that then brings me on to the dynamic of the backhand to backhand. So we talked about that with Sinner, and we said that look, Sinner has an elite backhand, but Alcaraz managed to kind of break the rhythm against Sinner of that backhand to backhand rally by hitting a lot of into-out forehands, also hitting or going line early. Now against Tiafoe, he's going to have to do something similar, because Tiafoe has a very good backhand from what I've seen. I don't know whether it's Sinner level, but it's been at probably almost an elite level during the tournament. And I think he's someone who will try and go into out at times with the forehand if he's feeling it as well. But his backhand is good enough that he will back it as well, if need be, to go cross court and stick in the rally. He'll go down the line early as well. So the question is going to be, I can see both players trying to go line pretty early, but whose forehand will be able to withstand it in terms of defensively, but also whose forehand will be able to switch to offense or attack quickest and most effective. Now you think Alcaraz, but Tiafoe's forehand has been very good. It's got a very, very short backswing. And now what that means is that he relies almost purely on complete timing. His swing doesn't generate any power, so the power is all generated through timing and I guess quick hands through the ball. If Tiafoe is able to utilize his forehand efficiently, then when Alcaraz goes line early, he may be able to catch Alcaraz off guard, because he technically takes it early on the forehand side. He's got a shorter backswing, which means that he's able to actually attack easier with the forehand in perceived defensive situations. So he might go cross court, find a good angle, and then it's a question of, okay, we're into the rally. We're hopefully into the rally for Alcaraz if he gets across and is able to then defensively slice. And then, okay, where does that leave us? So Tiafoe, I think, will definitely have chances to dictate in points. He'll need to hit very deep into the court like he did against Nadal. I thought the depth that he showed was just incredible with some of the rallies. So depth needs to be there. And as we say, depth kills. And that is the classic Novak Djokovic tactic, which I think, it's a very simple way of putting it, but that is why he is as good as he is, because he hits the ball deeper than anyone else into court. Now, Tiafoe has been hitting the ball deep into court, but also with power as well. I think, it's a very, very, very good combination that he's been able to somehow find. He struck this incredible balance, and it will cause Alcaraz trouble if he's able to hit like he has been from the back of the court. The other thing is, he does utilize the backhand slice. Now, it's not an incredible backhand slice, but it's good enough that it should be able to break up the play and also get Alcaraz out of a rhythm. I think Alcaraz is someone who needs rhythm. I don't feel like Tiafoe needs rhythm as much. But I feel like with Alcaraz, he is a rhythm type player. And if he's able to utilize the backhand slice well enough and actually try and slice with enough angle to get into the Alcaraz backhand, then he knows he won't be hurt on the backhand side of Alcaraz's when he's returning a backhand slice. And he might even slice himself, Alcaraz, and that might then open up an into-out forehand for Tiafoe, depending on how good the slice is. So there's options there as well. He likes to come forward, Tiafoe, which is fantastic. So we'll see him in the net. Needs to be careful about where he approaches. If he approaches the forehand, he needs to make sure it's angled, make sure that Alcaraz is on the run, because realistically, Alcaraz can pass him with ease, pass most players with ease because of how athletic he is. Backhand lob as well, needs to be careful about that, because he goes in the backhand side, and we know how good the lobs have been from Alcaraz. For Tiafoe, though his volume's been pretty good, I thought, And he's been able to pass people pretty easy at the net as well, on both sides, especially the backhand sides look really good. He's just looked really solid all round, Tiafoe. I can't necessarily see like a massive weakness in his game at the moment. And that's a testament to how well he plays. And similar to Alcaraz, I mean, with Alcaraz, there's a few bits that need to be ironed out, I think. Second serve and also the backhand defense. But the backhand defense looked better against Sinner, I have to say. But it still can, I think, get to that next level. But he's definitely leveled up on that. The second serve and serve generally, I think, can be improved. So I think Alcaraz is going to have to win this on, like, not just pure athleticism, but athleticism, defensive work, and being able to dictate in rallies with the forehand. Because if he's able to make a lot of forehands and dictate in the rallies, Tiafoe defensively is pretty damn good as well. He's very athletic, but Alcaraz is going to have to be patient and try and break him down, because Tiafoe won't give him a lot of easy rallies where he makes a lot of mistakes from what I've seen anyway this tournament. So let's see. I'm extremely excited for this. I'm going to go with. It's difficult, because I almost feel like Tiafoe might cause the upset, but after watching Alcaraz against Sinner, it's like, how can you back against him? Especially when he was down as well, match point down, managed to recover. Tiafoe's fresher though. I'm going to go Alcaraz in 4 sets. But 4 very tight sets. Potentially a couple of tiebreakers in there. I wouldn't be surprised. I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if Tiafoe wins, though. I have to be honest with you. I wouldn't be, because he's played really, really good tennis, and he's 24 years of age, and he's suddenly it's clicked for him. And I'm hoping that this is a launch pad for him, for his career, to really go deep. I would love to see him start making the top 10, top 5 in the world. I think he is good enough to, and also good enough to compete for slams. That's how much I rate him after seeing him at the US Open. As in, he's definitely got the ability, he's got the talent. If he's able to continue this type of form, he's going to be a nightmare for anyone. So I'm going Alcaraz in 4. Let me know your thoughts. Remember to leave a comment as well. Let me know your thoughts. Also, like and subscribe. And if you're watching on a podcast platform or listening on a podcast platform, remember to leave a rating or review. Thank you so much, guys. Stay safe and well. We'll see you on the next video, which will be Ruud and Khachanov. I'll be previewing that semi-final. And, of course, we'll be doing our women's preview as well. We'll be covering all the matches from now until the end of the tournament. So both men's semi-finals, we should be covering the women's final and men's final. So do make sure you get involved in those as well. Thank you very much, guys. See you later.